Here we go. It is that time again where we get to dissect the next Florida Today article. This time we're going to talk about
Lillian McDermott
friendship.
Show.
Oh, it's time to dance, Tim. Do the Muppet.
We make mistakes when we live
It's
Need a
our
lighter.
dancing time. Yay.
It's tough, and it seems like your best
I
ain't
love your
good.
Muppet imitation.
If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
Okay.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice to meet you on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been listening to the show for the last 7 years, welcome back. And if you just happen to stumble upon the show, well, let me tell you, I've been right here waiting for you. Let me tell you that the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place to go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, I can't believe it. It's that time again. It is that time again where we get to dissect my next Florida Today article with one of my favorite editors from, Tim Walters of Daddy Duty. I have to say one because my other editor is my husband, who checks out my work and kind of dissects it first. And then by the time Tim gets it, it's a little easier for Tim, right? He's giving me the high five, yeah. Or no, thumbs up. That's what he's giving me, the thumbs up. And so now, today, we're going to dissect my next column. And of course, there's going to be an acronym because there's always an acronym. And what we're going to focus on is how to build and maintain lifetime friendships. Lifetime friendships. Who comes to mind? Who comes to mind when you think of a lifetime friendship? And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Tim Walters of Florida Today and the creator of Daddy Duty is here to do just that. Welcome back, Tim, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you, Lillian. Love being here.
I know. And so for those of you who this is the first time that you've stumbled upon, go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Tim has been on the show for the last 2 years, monthly. As he called me one time on his television show, I am his monthly visitor. And when you're a woman, that takes on a totally different connotation.
Yeah, guys don't think of things like
we
that.
don't think it that way, but he comes on the show every month, and we dissect the article. And this time, Tim, we are dissecting the article on friendship. So welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, and love to hear what you thought when you pulled the article out of your computer.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lillian. So, obviously I always go to the headline first to see what I'm getting into. So, nurturing and maintaining lifetime friendships. And so the very first line of your column, of course, makes me think, which, I don't want to think so early in the day, but I did last Friday as I read this. So have you ever had a friendship that you thought would last forever? And so you immediately start to think back, to maybe your grade school days, high school days, things like that. And so I started to think, are there people who I thought would have been friends forever? And, some, believe it or not, I have friendships that have lasted that long, and some obviously have faded away. Yeah. And so, and then you start thinking, why was I able to keep in touch with these people and not those people? And where has my life taken me? So, it went from a simple, have you ever had a friendship that you thought would last forever, to all of these thoughts of who it is and why it is and what's lasted and what hasn't. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot there just in our first sentence.
Isn't it great though to kind of like sit with your thoughts and sit with, I never thought of that. I haven't thought of this person in years. And the memories that it brings and the energy that it brings back to you. We can almost, and I was thinking about this yesterday after our conversation, I thought it could almost transform you to that time and place. Like the movie Somewhere in Time. You're too young for that movie with Christopher Reeves and that medicine woman. I don't know what her name, Jane Seymour. Somewhere in Time, where you could just transform yourself back to that area where you could be silly and giddy and just a little quirky because you're still trying to figure out who you are. And these friends kind of bring those memories. When you sat there, who was the first person you thought of?
Well, I actually thought of a friend of mine named Rob, who very coincidentally I was supposed to be having dinner with. I hadn't seen him probably now in about 6 months, but he's somebody I've known since I'm about 6 years old. Even when he went away to Boston and I went away to Gainesville for college, we always stayed in touch. When we went home, we'd make a point to meet up. And then, we both ended up back here in Brevard County in 2003 and, tried, making it so you see him once a month, twice a month. Yeah. And then, of course, I got married, had a kid and all of this, but we've been able to really kind of make that stick it through. And, as I was telling you before the show, I just realized yesterday was his birthday and I forgot to send him a happy birthday text. So I just sent him a belated happy birthday. But anyhow, it's just cool that I've been able to know somebody my entire life. And, we've always made that effort to try and link up, which he's more of a brother to me at this point in life than he is a friend. So, it's just an awesome thing.
Absolutely. And so today, my listening and viewing friends, we're going to dive deep into how do you maintain and cultivate these relationships, especially if you haven't spoken to them in a long time. And I have a story that I share, and you can find this article at whenyouneedafriend.com on the About Lillian section. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So, Tim, that was one of those things where you start thinking about, who are these friends? And I started when I was doing this analysis, there were a lot of friends that I've been neglecting. And I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes it feels like that unless I call or reach out to people, people don't reach back out. And the moment you reach out to them, they're like, okay, they're so excited to hear from you. But then after that, nothing else happens. Has that ever happened to you? Where you're the one that's reaching out and nobody else is?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, honestly.
Or are they reaching out to you? Are you the friend that's waiting for people to reach out to? Making you think, huh?
Yeah, I'm stumped,
You're stumped. You're looking a little stumpy.
Yeah.
Stumpy.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure.
That's part of this why I'm writing this article, because once you stop reaching, if you're the person that's always reaching out, right, and you get so busy that you stop, then the communication stops. Then once, like in 2 years or 3 years, an email will come in and say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Well, that's because I stopped. I've been busy, and now it's your turn. It's your turn. But, you just can't do that, because if it's a value to you, then you're the one that reaches out. There are people that just wait and wait. They're waiters. I call them my waiters. Mm-hmm. They wait for people to reach out to them. They wait for opportunities to come to them. But I'm always kind of like, I'm the one in movement. I'm like a shark. Yeah. If I stop, I drown.
I guess I would just say that maybe, if I don't reach out to people and they don't reach out to me, but the ones where we do reach out to each other, those are the friends I hang out with. So, those are the ones worth keeping because, right. I got another friend. I met him when we were in 7th grade, which is about 1989-ish. And he's still my best friend. He was in my wedding and, I see him all the time and he's got a kid just about Isabella's age. That was his oopsie baby. He's got 16, 13, and 4.
What a great
07-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Tim.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show. This is Tim Walters, an editor at Florida Today, and we are dissecting Lillian's monthly article. Missed my cue there, so that's all right. However, this month we had just started talking about your article, Lillian, the title being Nurturing and Maintaining Lifetime Friendships.
Yes.
And so we really only got through the first sentence in the first segment.
Yeah.
So we'll probably have to move a little bit quicker. We're going to need a 6-hour radio show, which we probably could do.
Yeah, because the acronym this time is friendships. And so last month when we did our show and we did solution, I am the solution, and we did the acronym for that. We did it really quickly, or maybe it was the month after that. I don't know, the month before that. But go ahead. So what are some of the, off the air, we're having a conversation about, are you the person that keeps in contact with everybody, or do you wait for someone to reach out to you and you're like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I the thought that I shared was, I guess the people that I reach out to and who reach back out to me, those are the people that are the constant friends in my life. And the other people, maybe that's a little bit why you drift away and you gravitate toward the people that you talk to more. And so, I've got several friends like that who, it's never been a one-way thing. It's always been, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while, and they'll reach out, or I'll reach out, and you'll be like, geez, you're right. So, it's those people that you make a point of sticking with, I guess, that are the ones that, are your, I guess you'd call them forever friends.
Yeah. Yeah, the forever, the lifetime friends, because there is an expression that says that there are friends that come to you for a season, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So this article is dedicated to our lifetime friends. These are the friends where they've been through, thick and thin with you. They've been through tears and joy and traumas and all the good, the bad, and the ugly of your life, and they're there right by your side. And if you need, it's wonderful to love yourself and to have that self-esteem. But when you have a friend that shares that with you, that calls to just encourage you and motivate you, that's like the magic potion there. And for those of you who didn't know, August 5th is Friendship Day. August 5th is Friendship Day. So I thought, let's turn friendship. Let's of course, we're doing a contest on the Lillian McDermott radio show where the one, I have this expression that says, the one who loves the most wins. Love is a competition. The one who loves the most wins. That's my meme. I've created that many, many years ago. And when someone says, I love you, I always say, I love you more. And so it's a competition. Love is a competition. Whoever loves the most wins. And so this is what I wanted to do for the Lillian McDermott radio show. For the entire month of August, we're going to run a contest. And the contest is, you email me all your friends that you have asked if you could subscribe to the Lillian McDermott radio show website at whenyounneedafriend.com. And these people, they need to give approval. So once they're entered into the system, or whenyounneedafriend.com, they need to confirm that they are they were the ones that wanted to register onto the website. The one who sends me the most confirmed, the one person that confirms the most friends will receive 3 coaching sessions with me. And there's other things. They need to go onto my Facebook page and to my website to learn a little bit more about this contest. But I want to encourage for all of us to think, who are these friends? And these are the friends like you were talking about, grade school. We're not talking about the friend that you happen to have a quick relationship with, or the dysfunctional friend who is very toxic, that you got something out of when you were younger, and maybe they got you into a lot of trouble, or you allowed them to get you into a lot of trouble. And these are the ones that constantly are dealing with drama and trauma in the life. And it's not a healthy, it's self-induced trauma is what I'm saying. It's not. So I wanted to get people to start thinking about who are their friends, and also what is a friend? What does friendship mean to you, Tim Walters, as you are contemplating on friendships?
Well, I know that you put the definition of friend in your column, which I found interesting. The Merriam-Webster definition, it's one of those things that you never really think of sitting down and defining, because you just kind of feel like you know what a friend is.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, as I said earlier, I think the people I consider friends are the ones who reach out to me and I reach out to, who, if I ever needed anything, you know, at the drop of a hat, they'd be there to help me, and vice versa. You know, I was talking about my friend Chris a little bit ago, and you know, I'm his son's godfather, and he was in my wedding and I was in his wedding, and you know, you've got people like that you know your entire life, and those are the people that, you know, you continue to stay in touch with. So to me, a friend is that person that you know, basically you do anything for and they do anything for you. You know, they're more like family, you know. And that's really what they become. They become like the, you know, for guys it's a band of brothers, you know, maybe for women it's a band of sisters or whatever. But you know, I've got, you know, I have one real brother, but I have about 6 brothers that I could call on for anything I ever needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I call those my sister friends or my brother friends, or, you know, because they're like family, but they don't share your DNA, or maybe they do, you just don't know. But, and so here's the thing, that question that you asked at the beginning of the show, which is, you know, if you ever had a friend that you thought would never end, that friendship, and where are they now? And I'm sure that even though you have mentioned 2 friends, I'm sure that there's even more friends that have just faded into the background, that you have not kept in touch with, or they have not kept in touch with you. But at one point in your life, you thought that those were friendships that would last. And if you go through, okay, what happened? What happened to this friendship? Is there a pattern? And is it me who ended the friendship, or is it them who all of a sudden stopped talking to you? You know, what is it about it? It's just like you taking out your soul shovel. Has that ever happened to you, Tim, where you thought, you know, I'm either going to end this friendship, or the friendship kind of fizzles out just as fast as it started? Has that ever happened to you?
Sure, yeah. I don't know if it was one that I wanted to end or let fizzle out, but I can think of a couple of my friends from college. And it seems to me like, you know, the friends you make when you're younger, you know, and when you're kids, you're meeting people for the first time, you're, you know, you have similar interests, but then you grow up, you go away, you meet people in college, and they might seem like the right fit for you for 4 or 5 years while you're in school. And then you might even keep in touch with them for a couple of years out of school. At least this was my case. And then they just kind of fade away. But then, you know, through the magic of things like Facebook, you meet them again, you friend them, you see about their families, and you might even message back and forth, but you're still not making that effort to, you know, hey, I'm going to drive an hour away to see you and have dinner with you and your family.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's really kind of a different, you know, it's a different situation, I guess. And so, you know, I guess that's, you know, one of my college roommates. He was a great friend of mine, and I would love to, you know, still see him. And he only lived about an hour away, but it's one of those things where we drifted apart, and I don't even know what I'd talk with him about anymore. You know?
But yeah, but that's the great thing about it. You know, why wouldn't you have something in common? You know, get together and create a date. And that's what I want to encourage through this article, is to go back and, you know, and this isn't kind of what you're talking about, but I just recently reached out to a friend that I have been she's been a dear friend of mine for 34 years, but through busyness and children and all the, you know, sports and the different things that are happening in life, we kind of like, it's the kind of friend that you don't speak to for a year, but then they call you and it's like right there, you're connected, boom. It's as if that distance and time never happened. But it had been 2 years for us, other than Facebook and text and maybe a quick whatever, but we had not connected. And I felt that there was something that was going on. So I reached out, I texted her, and we scheduled a slumber party for her to come over to our house. And it was the first time that she had come over to a house. It's a 34-year friendship. I met her in my second year of college, and she came over, and it was so 3 months, you know, we scheduled it 3 months in advance because that's how busy we are. But when that day came, it was like Christmas morning. And I was so excited to see her because, you know, and a point in the article that I'm trying to make is that it's really easy to get new friends and just have that really exciting and they're near you so you can focus on them because it's real convenient. But if those friends that move away, those friends that you don't get to see all the time, those are the ones we have to make the biggest effort on. And that's why I did this article. And when she arrived, and my husband was so good about this. I told him, I said, this is such a special reunion for me. Would you allow us to be able to focus on each other and not so much, and he was our cabana boy. He was I call him our Ruber because his name is Robert and he chauffeured us everywhere. So he's our Ruber, and he was our cleaning person, and he did everything so that I could focus on my friendship. When we had a 24-hour date is what we had. And we went to the beach and we sat there for hours and we talked about the past, the present, the future, and we just connected as if we were right there again and time had not passed. And so when your friend, was it Rob that you said that he called you and you saw him after 6 months, did you feel that giddiness from school? Did you feel those feelings again?
Oh yeah, we had kind of a goofy moment where we just moved into a new house last month, and he hadn't obviously seen the new house. And so we come up here, and I'm showing him around, and I have the room that I'm sitting in here is my office at home. And I have this closet, right now filled with clutter. And he asked, if I still had my Super Nintendo. And I was like, yeah, it's in this box right here. And he said, does it still work? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure it works. So I have an old TV where you can hook the connectors into, because remember, HDMI doesn't accept Super Nintendo. So I'm pulling boxes out, and we're setting a TV up on these boxes. And we hook the Super Nintendo up, and sure as anything, it turns on, and we start playing NBA Jam. And I mean, I was in 1992. And how long ago is that? 26 years. It was just incredible. We were like we were 14 again, and we were just laughing and being stupid. And we did that for about an hour and a half, and then realized we were hungry and we went and ate. But it was just it was kind of like a spontaneous, just like and just kind of like your husband. My wife stayed downstairs. She kept Isabella away from us, our little daughter.
Yeah.
And me and Rob just stayed up here, and we just had a ball. It was awesome.
It was a man cave. That your office turned into a man cave. But isn't that nice that we have that support from our spouses or significant other, depending on your situation, and you say, this is so important. Would you just be supportive, my supporting cast during this weekend, and ask for what you need. So if you don't want the other person to be there all the time, ask for what you need. But he ended up taking us out to dancing, and he ended up being a major part of our fun too. But we also had that quiet time, that one-on-one time where you get to build a stronger relationship, mend anything that needs mending, cry if you need to cry about things that you weren't there for, and just rejoice in the friendship. Do you, my listening friend, have a friend like that? Text me the name of that friend of yours that is bringing back this memory. 407-373-5959. That's 407-373. Let me know who that friend is for you. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I have not played Nintendo, okay. I guess video games are before my time. No.
After your time.
After my time. Well, we had Atari when the kids were younger, and then it became PlayStation, it became all that stuff. But I just can't get past round one from Super Mario. I can't. But
here's something funny. So I'm going to show you. I had to push it aside, but through the magic of live television. Mm-hmm. So here is the TV screen.
Oh my gosh!
Look at this. On top of 3 bins. And then on the floor, let's see if I can get the camera in here. Do you see a Super Nintendo?
I do see it.
So the Super Nintendo is there on the floor. Game's still in it, still in a heap. And
I love that.
There's my TV. So I still haven't even put it away from last weekend.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. When my friend came over, and I want to respect her privacy, but during the time that she was there, we pulled out some pictures and I posted it on Facebook I posted it, and it was like she would always get me involved in all these things because I'm very shy. People don't know this about me. I am very shy, painfully shy. And so she would always get me involved, and she is like out there. She is the kind of friend, like kind of person. Let me tell you, she was in our accounting class, which to me, accounting wasn't the most lively class. And I'm the type of person that if I walk in late to a meeting or a class, I'm going to sit in the first front seat available, like a good little Catholic. I was like, okay, I'm going to sit in the front. Usually the Catholics sit in the back, but so I would sit like the first place, and I'd sit really quietly. Not her. She would wear wooden shoes on the terrazzo floor, and she would walk all the way she was Catholic at the time. So she would walk away all the way to the back of the room. And I remember that was my first time seeing her. And I thought, she has balls. That's all I said. It's like, wow, I could never do that. I could never walk to the back of the room with wooden shoes, and you're hearing the clap, 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 clap of her shoes all the way until she would sit down. And I thought, what esteem does she have that she would do this? And I don't know what happened, that we sat next to each other and we just became best friends at that moment. And I just absolutely adore her. So you know what? We have the acronym friendship when we get back. Let's have you take over this next segment. How much time do we have, Tim? Brian? Okay, so we have time. So we'll have you take over this part, and then when the last segment, then what we'll do is I'll do the introduction of my website and all of that's happening. But just let's get started on the acronym and how.
Okay, so I'll come out of break this time.
Yeah, you come out of break.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
This time.
Okay. That's okay.
Forgot to be reminded.
You know what? I waited till the last minute to go. It's your turn. It's your turn. But it all works out. It's it's live radio. Another thing that I would love for people to get from this is that how valuable friendships are. Friendships are so valuable, but they're not what defines you. Your friends don't define you, but do they? My mom used to say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Did your mom ever say that to you?
I'm not sure if she did, but I've heard that saying before. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you feel that there was ever a friend that you became friends with them just because they were the cool kid, but they didn't align with you? I love it when you think.
No, I'm sorry. The radio just started blaring in my ears. So
I know.
You can text
we can't control that.
It's hard for me to talk. So, yes, I'm sure there is an example or two like that.
Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show. This is Tim Walters, an editor at Florida Today newspaper and at floridatoday.com. And Lillian writes an article that is in our health section once a month. It comes out the second Thursday of every month, so it will be in print tomorrow, and it's already online at floridatoday.com/health. And you can also find all of the articles Lillian writes at whenyouneedafriend.com. So we have been talking today about her article about lifetime friendships and how friendships, some endure, how some don't, what makes them more important. We've talked about some examples. Well, it brings us to the one thing. No, I shouldn't say the one thing. It brings us to something that Lillian is very good at, and that is acronyms. So this month she has taken the word friendship, which is many letters, and broken that down. So Lillian, let's dive right in because we have a lot of letters to tackle.
Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can do it before the segment is over. Okay, so the F is for focus, and focus is on what you want. The last thing you want to do when you're trying to mend a relationship or to reconnect with someone that you haven't spoken to in a while is call them up and say, hey, where have you been? Why haven't you called me? What you been doing? What have blah, 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 blah. And there's the Spanish Inquisition that goes on. Basically, what you want to do is you want to focus on the relationship you want. And so focus on that relationship that you want. don't dwell with what's wrong, and just, focus and say, hey, I would love to, hey, I was thinking about you. How have you been? And start from there. What's going on in your life? Would you like to, let's reminisce type of thing, which is the next one.
All right, which is remember the moments that brought connection and joy. And, I'm sure that I have examples in my life of people who the friendship just kind of drifted apart. It wasn't, because we didn't like each other or something went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be willing to bet that those same people, like if I ran into them, it would be like there was no gap in time. So I think you kind of pick up where you left off. So, it's cool to be able to think that there are people like that you could reach out to, and hopefully it would work out that way.
Yeah. And when you call and you focus on, when you're calling these people and we're reaching out to these people, remember those moments. I mean, when my friend came over, we laughed so hard at some of the things that we would do or say, some of the music that we were listening to, some of the hairstyles. I mean, think back and, and just say to them as you remember and recall and you laugh is, I miss you. I miss you. I'm calling you because I miss you. I want to be a part of your life. And so initiating that call, which is the I for, focus, remember, initiate, initiate that communication and say, I really miss you. Focus on these friends when you're writing this list of these people that, man, I wonder where they're doing now. What are they do? And Facebook can be so impersonal that you just see the outside, the exterior of the person. You really can't tell if there's anything going on the inside with that individual. And so that was the third one, was initiate that communication and say hello.
All right. E being encourage growth, adventure, and share how much you believe in them.
That's right. You got to be that encouraging voice as well. It's not just about taking, it's about giving as well. And there's a fine line between just, calling someone just to tell them about all your life, or calling someone to just ask how they're doing. But there's a fine line between that give and take that makes the perfect friendship.
All right. And then the N being nurture the relationship while holding it in high regard. And, I think if you want friendships to last, you have to put the same type of respect into them that you want to get out. So absolutely. I think that's how that works. And D, you pull out a $10 term here, discern if your unrealistic expectations led to disappointment in your friend.
Yes, absolutely. So as you're looking at this way to kind of rebuild your friendship, as the acronym being the kind of the steps to take, there are times where a friendship ends because you have an expectation of that friend and they didn't meet your expectation. And it wasn't that they did anything wrong. They just didn't meet your expectation. Is that expectation unrealistic? Is it unfair to your friend to have a hoop to jump through that they weren't aware of, that there was something that they needed to do? And so that could really end a relationship too. So look at and discern whether or not that relationship ended because of your unrealistic expectation, or if it was that, or something else. So that was very important for us to discern. If it's an unrealistic expectation, then that's on me. That's on me, not on them.
All right, moving along in friendship, we now have the friend down. So with the S is support. Ask, how can I support you through growth, change, etc., things like that.
Yeah.
And, I can remember an example of a friend of mine who he came back from college, ended up not using the degree he had. And, he was looking for things in life. And I remember encouraging him to go into the field that he ultimately chose. And, I can remember him calling me and telling me when tests were coming and this and that. And, he ended up completely changing his life. So it's, through that type of support, that means a lot to people. And I think that, ultimately, it's a huge building block for a good friendship.
Yeah, and support is really truly listening, listening between the breath, and understanding that perhaps they're at a critical point in their life. Maybe that's why they haven't been reaching out. Maybe they're going through tragedy or something that they're not willing to put on to, maybe a financial crisis, or maybe they're dealing with a setback, and maybe that's why they step back. And so it's important to listen with compassion and be supportive, because there's a lot of people who will tell you you can't do something, that they don't believe in you. How it's so nice that you shared it with your friend, that you knew that they would, you suggested something for them, and it turned out to be a great career path for them. So that support and encouraging people to grow, because I believe that friends that grow together stay together, and then they thrive together. So support is very important, and asking how we can be supportive of them is crucial too.
All right. And H is for humor. And I think that, if you have a friendship where you and your friend don't sit around and laugh, it's probably a very odd friendship.
Yeah.
But, that's what friends do. That's what you and I are doing. We're sitting here having a little fun on the radio, and every now and again we're silly and have fun. So,
That's right.
Friendships should be joyous. They should be things that, they should be fun. So, I think that one's maybe the most given of all the letters here.
So, when you are together and you're laughing, and I remember when my friend came over and we did all those things. We laughed, we giggled, we were silly, we danced, we celebrated, we were joyful, and we rode bikes. We did so many different things together, and that short period of time that we were together was so wonderful to reconnect with one another. And yes, I know that it sometimes can be difficult, especially in the moment, whatever moment that they're going through, but even in the solemn moments, because we had been together through deaths as well. I remember, even having a conversation about that when we came together this time, and how respectful I was of her. She helped put her mother's makeup on when her mother passed away, and did her hair, because she moved up there to be with her mother for 3 months to get her ready to transition. And, little things like that sometimes you don't want to add humor, but you can, years have passed. You can talk about that moment where, she wanted me to sing at her mother's funeral, and I had laryngitis and I sounded like a frog. But you know what? When I opened my mouth, and we were talking about this, when I opened my mouth to sing, it was as if there was nothing there. And it's those are the moments that you remember and you reflect upon, and they just become, more of the glue that holds your friendship together.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I think guys laugh, they don't giggle.
That's good. So,
all right, yeah. So the P is for priority. I skipped the I. I'm sorry. The I in friendship is introduce your lifetime friends to your new friends and build your tribe.
yes, that is so good. When I turned 40, my girlfriends threw me a slumber party. And it was so cool because they had not really met each other, but we came together for my birthday. I had never been given a slumber party. My parents would never allow it. And at 40, I had my first slumber party. And it's interesting how my friends became friends at that moment. And so it's always helpful when you do have a friend and you include them to your older friends. And we have one more before we go on the break.
It is the P, priority. I get
Yes.
it. We are all busy. Create time for the future and protect it.
Yeah.
And, this is one thing I always thought when I was a kid, these are my friends. These are the guys. You keep in touch with them, and then someday when the kids are gone and go to college, then it's almost like going back to the high school days. So it's like, and I hope that that's how it will be, because a lot of my friends, we have kind of gone that way, but our families keep in touch, every now and again. But so it is a priority to stay in touch, but you also have that hope that someday, when you get your freedoms back, which it seems like you're free up until 18 and then not until you're about 65.
Yeah.
You hope that you're healthy enough and they're all still around so you can kind of rekindle those days.
And you know what, Tim, as much as we think that that's the transition and the actual conversion in life, which is that, once the kids are gone, but, things do happen. People do die.
Mhm.
And so, all we have is now. Make these friendships a priority, and so that you will share these moments. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters of Florida Today when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I remember when I was 16 years old, I had a friend that passed away of toxic, what was that? Where it was toxic shock syndrome. She died at the age of 16 years old. And interesting, when I think of my friends, I think of that friendship. And I wonder, would she still be a friend of mine today had she lived, had she, because that was a very difficult time. Have you ever lost a friend prematurely?
Oh, many along the way.
Really?
But yeah, before I mention who, I kind of almost look at it like, the scenario for friendships and later in life. I kind of look at that almost like your 401k. You're saving for retirement. You're just hoping you get there.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing. But yeah, so I could give you several examples. About 2 years ago, one of our group of friends, we have a pretty extended group of Merritt Island friends that graduated in 95. And one of, he wasn't what I would call one of my close 4 or 5 friends, but he's a guy I've known my whole life and a friend. Yeah. And he, on Valentine's Day, it was a Sunday night 2 years ago, went out fishing, very experienced fisherman at the time, 39 years old. The next day, his boat washed up on shore and they never found his body.
Wow.
The seas were rough that night. I mean, it was, bad weather, but he disappeared. Like I said, the Coast Guard searched for him, helicopters, they had search parties and boats go out and look for him to at least try and find a body. But the life jackets were still on board, so he wasn't wearing a life jacket. The keys were still in. He probably got thrown overboard in the waves and drowned. And
boy.
So there was, that's probably the most recent example. But even, my name being Walters, the guy that was next to me in the yearbook at Merritt Island High School when I graduated, Sean Waters, about 10 years ago, he was up on Merritt Island, I guess, not really sure what he was doing, kayaking in the middle of the night. But I guess they think that he must have been in a dark area, maybe like fishing, hit a low tree limb. That must have, because they had some sort of trauma across his head, knocked him into the water. He drowned.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
Yeah, there's been some tragedies for kids from our class. I would say I'm 41 years old, and we probably got at least 15 or 20 kids from my graduating class that are dead.
Yeah. You think of the progression, like, okay, once our kids are out of the house and we're empty nest syndrome, we're going to reconnect with all these people, and some of them are not going to be there. So all we have is now. And, if there is a friend that is like swimming in your head and that name keeps coming back, that's the one that you need to reach out to, because time is short. Think about this year. It's already August, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like, and I say this on my blog when I write on my blog is, how am I going to put this again? We're only like 4 months away from the holidays, or we're only like, it's crazy.
So
actually, September, October, November, 3 months from the holidays.
You're coming in, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You can
talk about my social.
Leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott. And of course, my co-host and my Swiss Army knife of editors is Tim Walters of Florida Today. We're talking about my latest article called Nurturing and Maintaining Lifetime Friendships. Is there a name swimming through your brain right now, or landed in your heart, that a person that you have not spoken to in a while, that you thought would be there forever? Maybe you're the one that has neglected the friendship. Maybe they're the ones that hasn't returned your calls. Either way, call them today. Call them and say, I've missed you. And you know what? Whatever happened in the past, as long as it's not toxic, as long you can love people from afar. You don't have to be angry with them or anything to that, wish them harm or anything to that effect. But if it's someone that you could say, you know what? My life was richer with them in my life. Write that name down today. Declare them today before the sun sets today. Reach out to them and let them know you miss them. Let them know either via call, which is always the preferred way to reconnect with somebody. But if you know that if you call and they don't answer, send a text. Reach out to them on Facebook or Instagram. And by the way, while you're in Facebook and Instagram, go to my social media. Go to whenyounneedafriend.com and you can click on all my social media. Go to whenyounneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And remember, we're doing this contest for the month of August and we're going to pick a winner. So the first thing that you have to do is send an email of all these friends that you've asked to subscribe on to whenyounneedafriend.com. And when you do that, I will get them subscribed. An email will go to your friend, and they need to confirm that email. So it might be in their junk mail. It might be in their bulk or their spam. But let them know that unless they confirm it, excuse me, unless they confirm it, they're not registered. So make sure. And then the one at the end of the month, and on September 1st, we're going to pick the winner. So you have a whole month to do this, but do it right away. And the person who subscribes the most friends, because it's about being a friend. You listen to the Lillian McDermott radio show and you receive information. We give information. We empower. We do whatever it takes to live the life of our dreams. You receive that. This is the time where I am asking to receive. I need this help from you. If the show is going to grow, I need this help from you. So on September 1st, whoever sends me the most friends to subscribe to my website and subscribe to one of my social medias, excuse me, you will win 3 coaching sessions from me. These are 3 free coaching sessions of value of $375. So go there. And while you're there at whenyounneedafriend.com, check out my sponsors. Make sure you promote them or support them the way they're supporting the show. Today we have Tim Walters of Florida Today. Tim, is there anything, as we're talking about friendship, is there anything you'd like to add?
You know, I was thinking we kind of glazed over earlier, like toxic friendships. And, you know, there are some people that you know from a time that you're young, and they were kind of always the troublesome friend, as it was. But, you know, where they were still the friend nonetheless, maybe a loyal friend, but, you know, they just kind of were a little bit more troublesome than the other people. Well, anyhow, you kind of grow up, and that friend, of course, is always around your group of friends because they're not the person who's going to go away and, you know, do something exotic. You know, they're kind of, you know, here. And then, you know, you grow up and you still see them from time to time. And, you know, this person I'm thinking of is still single, of course. So, you know, you try and make time and you'll do something with them, and then you'll be reminded like why they kind of drive you nuts. And, you know, you hope that things will be different, and then they're generally not. So, you know, then.
So what do you do? Do you tell them this is the reason I stay away from you? Do you lovingly tell them, I really love you. I really want to be your friend. But when you do this, it really pushes me away. Do you do that?
You know, I certainly didn't put it in those terms, but he and I actually had it out earlier this year. You know, last year we had set up to do something. He got a little too intoxicated, completely ended up ruining the entire night. And then, you know, and then the following year he wanted to go. I'll say we went down to Miami for a baseball game. And so, you know, he wanted to go down there and do that again this year. And I was just like, you know, absolutely not. I never want to do that again with you. And, you know, I explained what happened, and, you know, and then he got very defensive, and then we kind of had it out. But then a while later, we both ended up apologizing. He's since actually, you know, and he's gone through AA quite a bit. So he's actually been dry. He hasn't been drinking for quite some time now.
That's awesome.
And then we, you know, we went out, him and a couple of other friends, to dinner about a month ago. And, you know, when he's sober, he's such an enjoyable person, you know, and unfortunately there are substances and things like that do drive wedges in friendships. But, you know, also.
Isn't that a great story?
Yeah. So, and that comes into encouraging because, you know, like I said, he's always been our friend. He's always been somebody who's, been kind of the troublemaker of the group, yet at the same time, you don't want to see your friend, sink in life, and you do whatever you can to kind of save that. So,
Sure.
I let it build up to the point where I probably exploded maybe a little bit too much, but, it got it out there on the table. He
You
actually
got his
realized,
attention, huh? You
oh,
got his
yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a few of our other friends did too, because a few people, jumped into my defense and they were like, you can't say that because this is what you did. And, I don't want to get into the details, but it was
Sure.
horrible
No,
last
no need
summer,
for that. Yeah, no need for that. But here's the thing. What you did could potentially save his life. Sometimes we have to tell the truth just the way it is, no sugarcoating whatsoever, to get the attention of your friend that you love. They may be toxic for themselves, but you didn't give up on them. Because, and I did a show the other day, and where I did some quotes, there were some quotes that I had, and one of them was, "Don't ever give up on anyone. Miracles happen all the time." And that just like spoke to my heart. There are times we want to give up on people, but we can love them from afar. If they are toxic, you can tell them, as long as you're doing this, I'm going to love you from afar. And that's a good friend. A good friend is the one that speaks up and says, hey, this is what's happening, and I love you enough to tell you, and I love you enough. I care more about you than I do about the relationship. And if it's going to blow up the relationship, that's fine too. But I care about you, and I'm going to share with you my truth about how I perceive you. Now, they have a choice. They can choose to accept it or they can choose to reject it. And at that point, it puts you in a situation where you can decide, I will love them from afar. But here's the thing. This is what really bothers me. It's the petty little differences that, whether someone is a Democrat or someone is a Republican, or whether someone is born again Christian or someone is an atheist or someone, it's like those tiny little differences that, yes, are big. But when you keep showing up with what you have in common, you probably have more in common, maybe 95%. And we end up focusing on the difference that ends up blowing up the relationship. Have you ever experienced something like that?
Well, that's why you don't talk about religion or politics with people.
That's right.
I can actually remember one time where I was out with a friend, and again, he's still a friend of mine to this day, but this was probably a good 15 years ago. We're out at a pool hall, and he and I are just playing pool, and this was during the Bush era of presidency, and me being a little bit more conservative and him certainly not being anywhere near conservative, we got into a discussion about politics. And anytime you get into a discussion of politics, one person gets louder, another person gets louder. And then it was hilarious. I remember the bartender coming out from behind the bar, and he just said, I'm going to need you guys to stop talking about that and keep it down, please.
But you know what?
He
If
was
we
so
could
nice
just
about
stop,
it.
yeah, if we could just stop doing that and say, okay, that's their opinion. That's their opinion. You can't change somebody's opinion. You can share your opinion and they can share their opinion, but trying to change the opinion only if the person is open to learn and grow and change. And that could totally blow up a relationship. And Tim Walters, we're at the end of our show. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and helping me dissect the article once again.
As always, thank you, Lillian. And remember, check out everything at floridatoday.com/health and read Lillian's article.
Thank you. And for those of you who are listening today, who is it that you need to call? Who do you need to declare? I hope that you will act upon this declaration. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job, Tim.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because, relationships do end because of pettiness. I have a really good friend, and I know she is a Democrat, and I stay away from my declaration of who I'm going to vote for because that's private. Because I know that I'm not going to change anybody. Now, if somebody asks my opinion because they want to learn and grow, I'll share it with them. But they'll make these posts that I don't agree with at all. But do I have to shun them, or do I have to criticize them, or do I have to say anything other than just walk away from it? because it could ruin a relationship. A lot of relationships have been ruined. So I'm glad that that bartender had enough sense to say,
Oh,
no.
he was hilarious. He just, and he could have yelled at, just the stern look on his face. I could yell at you, but I'm going to ask you, stop doing that. It was so funny. And then we just kind of moved on and, just
Did it
kept
diffuse the
playing pool.
situation? Did you laugh through it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We ended up getting another pitcher and kept playing pool. So we were fine.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you, Tim. I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Let's see. It's September next month, huh?
Yes, it is.
Need to start working on my next article. Thank you so much for being on. And I'm looking forward to your television show. We didn't even talk about the television show.
Oh, shoot.
Do you want to share it now?
Sure. It'll be on WEFS TV, which can be seen in Brevard County on Spectrum Channel 9, if I remember correctly. We have a 10-minute segment that runs on the show, and it's also going to be posted online. So, make sure to check that out. Or is it Spectrum Channel 5? Ooh, I'm so bad at that. It's either 5 or 9. WEFS TV.
And so they can find it with their legend. It'll show. And I think it's 5. I'm not sure. Maybe it's. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
They can see it at whenyouneedafriend.com or floridatoday.com.
Yeah. One of them is Eastern Florida's channel, and the other is UCF's channel. That's why I get them mixed up. One is 5 and one is 9.
So are we on the UCF channel or the
No, we're on the WEFS channel.
Okay, because I know that they are associated with. But anyway, it's time to go. Right. It's time to go. Okay. Thank you so much, Tim, and I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you for watching today. If you like this video, like it and share it. Bye.
Bye.